The purpose of the show is to transform your life and business through conversations that inspire, equip, and uplift. I connect busy people to powerful voices, authors, leaders, and world changers you need to know. What if the key to courageous leadership isn't fearlessness, but the science of bravery itself? Jill Schulman proves that bold, lasting transformation starts when leaders learn to be braver, personally and professionally. Jill is the founder and CEO of Breakthrough Leadership Group, LLC, where she equips leaders to break through to unprecedented performance. In this conversation, Jill shares her powerful perspective on the science of bravery, how individuals and teams can develop the courage to innovate, make bold decisions, and inspire lasting cultural change. Ready to ignite bravery and motivation in your organization? Connect with Jill at Breakthrough Leadership, LinkedIn, or Ignite Innovation. Jill can help you, your team, or your entire organization develop the skills and the courage to lead and innovate at the next level. And with that, I'd like to welcome Jill to the program. How are you doing today, Jill?
I'm super fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing, thanks for asking. 'Cause, it's a real pleasure to talk to you, and it's really been excited to see and dive deep into your story. So could you tell us, what is your story?
Well, I can give you kind of like a quick story of like my whole background. And then I want to tell you the story of like why I stumbled upon the science of bravery and why I wrote a book on it. But my story started as a United States Marine. So I started learning about bravery by serving our country as a United States Marine. I was actually one of the first ever women to serve in the combat arm of combat engineering. So combat engineering is
Mm,
basically building things and blowing things up, right? And
yes,
they had just
right.
opened up the MOS to women, and I was one of the first women to raise my hand and say, "I will do it." So, I definitely learned about bravery in the Marine Corps. And then after I got out of the Marine Corps and I went to the business world, I mean, I had a great career. I went into the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, my joke is I started by blowing things up, and then I started selling drugs, the legal kind. And I spent like 15 years in corporate America before I really did probably my bravest move is to start my own business, you
Yeah.
know, um, and eventually like go back to school and then be brave enough to write my book and to get on big stages. So, what's interesting is, and this relates to the research that I've done. So everything that
Right.
I speak about and that I'm
Hmm.
passionate about is not just like go do hard things and be tough because I'm a Marine and that's what that's what Marines like tell people to do, just do hard things. But instead is I looked at the science of bravery. So I went back to school. I earned my master's at the University of Pennsylvania in applied positive psychology and really looked at from a psychological point of view, like
Right.
what is it that holds us back? Right. So that was really the key moment once I understood the research. I'm like, people need to understand how fear controls them, sometimes keeps them small, prevents them from writing the book, prevents them from
Mm.
starting the business, prevents them from, doing all the things they want in life. So that's kind of my story of how I ended up here.
That's really awesome. It reminds me of it's Aristotle's bravery, right? Everybody was able-bodied. They were out on the front lines. You went too fast. That's not really smart because you're going to get killed, and you don't want to hang back. But somewhere in that middle is that golden mean, and there's where bravery sits. You've got to be able to have the right balance at the right time. So when you wrote the book, or you were thinking about the right book, how did you do this? I mean, there's people that are morning writers, afternoon writers. What was
Yeah,
your method?
yeah. So I was somewhat lucky when I went back to school, and when you earn a master's, usually you have to do a master's thesis or a capstone. So basically, my capstone that I wrote coming out of Penn was really my research on bravery,
Okay.
and I knew I wanted to turn it in the book. So like for me, I mean, the only way I would graduate from University of Pennsylvania with a master's if I got this capstone done. So I guess I was motivated. So I got that done, but that became really the foundation of
Mhm.
what would go into the book. But then I made a decision though, because no one wants to read my capstone. Like, how much time I put into writing that capstone? So much time, so much research, right? But no one wants to
Yes.
read science. It's like, it's not fun to read. So I made the decision that I wanted to write a parable, which is making it
Mm.
a story that's easy to understand and accessible. So that's what I ended up writing, and I ended up being the morning writer when I started my book, and I got some advice from my mentor Ken Blanchard. Now, Ken Blanchard in the
Well,
business world has written a lot of really successful books, and what he helped me with that got me unstuck is I was struggling a little bit with just writing. I realized like when I just it's like when I get down and I just have the blank page, it was hard for it to come out in the format of a parable, and he gave me such a great tip. He said, Jill, you are so articulate and passionate when you speak to me and in our
mm,
meeting what you want to say. And he gave me the hint of dictation. Oh, it was a
good.
game changer. So that was really helpful. And then I also want to share too that I used a ghostwriter to help me with the parable. So it's my research, my ideas. Here's what I want the story to be
Mhm,
about. But then I end
mhm,
up hiring an amazing ghostwriter that was actually recommended by Ken Blanchard and Spencer Johnson. Their team said, "Here's a couple of the best," and I share that very openly. I know a lot of authors that use a ghostwriter, like the ghosts they're hidden, and they just say, "No, I wrote all of this." So I partnered with a top ghostwriter, and the quality of my book is because I recognize that storytelling, like writing a fable or a parable, isn't really my strength. I'm the science girl, right? I know all the
mm.
science. So like leaning on someone else and tapping into someone else's strength. So the partnership I had, so we wrote it together. That is what really helped. And then we had also a schedule too, because we had to get the book written by a certain time. So, we would have meetings, every week, and that really helped with the forward progress where other people write a book and they're just like, I'm just going to write a book. And then maybe in 10 years, I'll have it done. I had a deadline of when I wanted to have it done by. So that really helped with the momentum moving forward.
Sure, that's very interesting and very insightful. And I'm a recovering academic, so I know the transition from academia to actually writing books that people want to read and understand. But
Exactly.
let's delve into the content of the book itself. Could you
Mhm.
tell us like what the content is and what sort of insights can you share?
Yeah, yeah. So, I'm just so excited to share, like, really what the contents of the book are specifically to your audience because, so many people that I know, because so many of my friends and colleagues, they are wanting to write a book, get their message out there, and what holds them back from really doing what they wanna do is fear. So, I'm gonna share what's in the book, but I think for this audience, if there's anyone out there that is an aspiring author and they've got any of the little bit of
Mm,
that the self-doubt things holding if fear is holding them back from taking that step, right?
yeah.
Then I think what I'm going to share is going to be really helpful. um, and what I wrote in my book is what allowed me to be successful. I had to sometimes you research and write about what you need, right? If you go through a really hard journey or you end up researching like what you gravitate toward what you need. So as I wrote this, I applied everything that's in my book. So the science of bravery is really about what do we know from psychology in terms of bravery. So I want to define what bravery is first. So bravery,
Yeah.
a lot of people misunderstand bravery. People think of bravery like if I were to ask you, Mick, like if you think of bravery, what image pops in your mind immediately?
I think about military. They're brave.
Exactly. Everyone, you think of like a Marine running into battle or a first responder running into a burning building. So most of us think bravery is reserved for these rare heroic moments, and people are just born brave. And that is not what the science says. Bravery, if we look at the definition, it's voluntary action in the presence of fear toward a noble or worthwhile goal. So if we kind of break it down, like it's voluntary action. So all of us that want to write or share our message and bring it to the world, that's us taking voluntary action, but it's in the presence of fear. So I think so many of us
Mm,
wait and go, oh, I'm not quite ready to write that book yet. I'm not really ready to take that next step because the timing's not right. We keep waiting and to be confident or for the fear to go away. And that is not being brave. So bravery is about like you've got the noble, worthwhile goal. Like I want to get this message out there. I want to write this book or whatever that is. What is the thing, the impact that you want to have in the world? And you are going to be a little bit scared to put yourself out there, and it's taking action even though you're scared. So that's what bravery is. And it is a learnable, practicable skill. It is like a muscle. So if you look at the neurology, and I'm going to try to not nerd out too much, but if you look at brain science, neurology, the more you step into discomfort, in the pursuit of your meaningful, noble goals, your brain literally rewires to make it easier for you to do more of that in the future. So just like when we go into the gym and, I lift my biceps and I stress my biceps and I hopefully, if I'm doing it right, it kind of is uncomfortable and hurts a little. And then the next day I'm sore. That is our body saying, wow, like I got to make myself stronger so I can do that better next time with some recovery. The same thing happens in our brain. So, so if anyone is feeling like, oh, it's just not me, I'm kind of scared, like anyone can be brave. And I have the science to back it up and it's in the book. And there's basically three things that we teach. The first is on the cognitive side. So I always say you've got to have I call it a warrior mindset when I'm on stages because it sounds cooler than like just, mindset in general. But we really talk about the cognitive side of bravery. Like, what do we need to do in terms of our belief systems? If anyone has like maybe imposter syndrome, so we have to solve for that first. So we start with mindset, brave mindset from cognitive psychology, and then we get into behavioral psychology. So it's what I call brave action. So not waiting until you feel ready or confident. And then the last one is what I call brave relationships or a brave tribe. Surrounding yourself with the people that will encourage you to keep going, especially when you want to tap out. So that's what's in my book. It's basically, it's written to be really easy to digest because it's a parable, but you've got the cognitive psychology techniques and tips, then the behavioral psychology and the social psychology, and the three together will make you unstoppable. And the best part of writing the book, and this will happen, your authors know this, and your future authors will experience this, is when someone reads your book and you get the completely unsolicited surprise emails or messages on social media saying, this book is exactly what I needed. This is getting me unstuck. This book changed my life. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And I was scared. Mick, I was scared to write a book. Like who am I? I'm a Marine, that has some business experience, and yeah, I got my master's, but a lot of people do. Like, are people really going to want to hear from me? So I had to apply everything that I
Mm.
teach in my book so that I could believe like, well, if not me, then who? Who is going to bring the message of bravery, the science of it, like to the world? And if not, why not me? Right. So I had to believe it was possible that I could be the one to do this. And then I just want to can I give one practical tip to your audience?
Yeah, sure.
On the behavioral psychology, like there's three basically, steps or things that they teach in the book. But on the second one, the behavioral psychology, because you mentioned like, do I write in the morning? So that is one of the things that I do teach in the book, and then I teach to the clients that hire me to come in. Is we really draw on the research from Roy Baumeister, a very famous psychologist that studied that we only have a limited amount of motivation and willpower in our brains. So
Mm.
I use an analogy of like, he's like, you wake up and you basically, hopefully, if you've got a good night of rest, you have a full battery. You have a limited cognitive like bandwidth or battery power. And you've got a full battery in the morning. And then by the end of the day, that battery
Yeah.
goes down. So many of us, when we wake up in the morning, we like look at our to-do list and whatever's kind of scary and uncomfortable, we're like, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the easy thing and then the easy thing and the easy thing. And I'm going to do that hard thing
True.
later on in the day. And we end up really, it's a disservice to ourselves. So I call it in the book, I call it attack the day. What are the
Mm.
most important things that you need to do in order to move you toward your goal? And if that's writing a book, and you have to use that the first couple hours in the day when you have the highest cognitive bandwidth, creativity, like that is the goal time. So if you're writing at the end of the day, you might want to experiment with trying to do it early morning. And I know a lot of people think, well, I work. Well, then, you know, a lot of Navy SEALs, Marines, we say that we get up at 5 o'clock in the morning at the latest. And it's amazing. Like I get more done before most people have their second cup of coffee. Right. So there is time, and if you're not doing that, you're kind of, it's like running uphill into the wind with a parachute in your back. Your most important work is when you've got drained batteries. So don't wake up and go, oh, do I feel like writing today? Right? It's
Yep.
don't even wait to be motivated or inspired. Just you make the decision. I will do this hard thing because it is important and it's going to lead me toward my goals. And I'm going to do it first thing because I'm going to have the best chance of actually getting it done and doing my best work. So just that's my one little practical tip that relates to writing.
That's very handy. There's a saying that fortune favors the bold, and that's kind of related to what you're doing. And also, it means that when you wake up, rather than doing the cup of coffee and wake yourself up, you got to get up there and get right away and jump into it. It's like jump into battle. That's the best
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Well, and this is kind of an offshoot, but as we're just having a conversation, one thing I've learned too is, I mean, I used to get up and then go like right to coffee and get to work. But, if you can just spend like 15 minutes moving your body, John Rady, famous researcher, psychiatrist, he's the one who like really did the seminal research on how moving your body impacts your brain. So he lectured to us at Penn, and it really resonated with me. And so now what I've experimented with, and now my practice in the morning is get up first thing. And when you get up and you're like, groggy, it's just hard to get started. So I move my body for 14 minutes every morning. First thing I do, I get up, I drink a large glass of cold water, and then I do this 14-minute routine of moving my body. So like getting the blood moving, stretching, doing some exercises. And that when you move your body, it fires up your brain. So John Rady said to
Mhm.
us, and he's famous for saying this, he goes, I want you to move your body, not for your body's benefit, for your brain's benefit.
Yeah.
So that's another little hint. If get up early, move your body. You will not need coffee. Like, don't have the cup of coffee for a couple of hours and just you don't even, you're going to find you don't even need it. Cause I was the person saying, are you kidding me? I need my coffee. I have like 3 or 4 cups of coffee. I mean, this is just, I mean, in the Marine Corps, we just learned that we just drank coffee all day. I have to have my coffee. But once I started moving my body, like, oh, my brain was just fired up and I did my best writing after I moved the body. So there's 2 tips.
Mm.
Get up early, move your body. Like you got to get your heart rate up. That's the key. You got to get your heart rate up, like at least to a moderate level. So actually move where you're like getting a little glistening a little bit and then go into writing and game changer.
It also reminds me of so many people that give the admonition, get up, do yoga or stretching. It's very similar to that. And those people are more productive because they're up and they're moving. And I go, don't want to geek out again like you did, but we have since Descartes, philosophically, we separated the mind from the body, and it's always a problem, but we got to get them in combination and working together.
Yeah. What's funny is I actually didn't even really buy into it. Like for all the skeptics out there, I'm like, oh yeah, like okay, mind body connection. It sounds a bunch of woo woo to me. Like I was the skeptic. Like when I'm in class at UPenn, and when John Rady was telling this, we actually had an assignment to try it, to do experimentally. And what changed my mind is I'm writing a paper. Like I mean, I started school. I went back to school when I was 47, 48. And I hadn't written academic papers in forever. And I was trying to write a paper and I was like, I was stuck. I couldn't figure, I think I sat in front of my computer for hours and I wasn't making any progress. And I had this assignment to try to move your body and see how it helps your mental performance. And I tried getting up and just kind of like stretching and stuff like that. Didn't do any good for me. But one time I tried, I went down, I got on the treadmill and I just jogged lightly, comfortably for a mile. It took me like 10, 11 minutes. And then I went back upstairs and got on my computer and it just
Hmm.
streamed out. So it took me that experience to believe it. Right. So for any skeptics out there that are like, oh boy, here's the woo-woo stuff. Like, you guys try it. Try it. If you're ever in writer's block, just get up and then 10 minutes, get your heart rate up and then go sit back down. And then send me a message through LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever and let me know what happened. Cause I wasn't convinced until I experienced it. So I bet you they'll experience the same thing too.
What was the hardest part of the writing process? Or what was the most difficult thing to overcome?
I mean, for me, the hardest thing for me, and mine is unique, is like I am the academic geek, and my brand is about the science, the evidence behind bravery, unlike a lot of like writers and motivational speakers that are like, oh, like, look at how brave I am, just be brave like me. So I wanted to I had to strike the balance between how do I write a parable, a story, but
Mhm.
make sure that the science is coming through accurately. So I had to figure out how to organize that. So I ended up figuring out that, I had the main character and then his mentor was an expert in the science of bravery and she shared some of her evidence. So it came across conversationally, I
Mhm.
really wanted it to make it easy to read. Like the whole story takes about 2 hours to read, or if you're a slow reader like me, about 2.5. So it's a quick read, an easy read, but it definitely has the correct evidence in it. So striking that balance was hard. Like
Mhm.
sometimes I'd go way too much in the science or like, they don't care about all that. Just, if anyone buys my book or listens to my book on Audible or whatever, what I did is I kept it pretty simple, accurate, so but not too much detail. And in the back of the book, for any of the people that are like me, because I want all the science, in the back of the book, then I cite all the research. So that way, people who want to get into it can, but I'm not slowing down the story. So, what I learned in the process is you have to think about what is in the best service of your reader, not what you want. I mean, for me, I'm the academic geek, so I love all the science, but it's not about me. Who
Mhm.
are the readers that are going to read this, and then what is the best way to write it so that it will land with them. So that really helped me to think about it's not about me and what I want to do and my style.
Mhm.
It's really about what is in the best service to the reader.
So we talked about the content of the book and your writing. So I'm then curious, if you have a story and a good story, then aspiring authors and authors want to know, how did you make the decision in terms of publishing? Who do you publish
Yeah.
with? What's that process like?
Yeah. So, as I got started, I didn't know any of this. So I started researching and I did look into all three options. A lot of my fellow alum at Penn they've had like Wiley and other major publishers there. But then I had to look at myself honestly and go, like, the only way that you get a book deal is if you have a pretty big platform of followers,
Mhm.
right? And so I looked into the whole, like, okay, how do I do a book proposal? I talked to like this expert in it. And then I realized I'm like, for my first book, I literally didn't have the followers. Like, here's a mistake I made earlier in my career. I had a leadership development company, or I still do. And I took great pride in never having to market myself because I was really good at what I do. And it was just all referrals. So I never had a brand out there, which meant I didn't have very many followers. So
Mhm.
that kind of ended up not being a good thing, as now I'm publishing a book. So I looked at self publishing and I decided for me, self publishing can be very, very high quality based on the way I understand it. If people know what they're doing and they get like someone to help them. I've also seen a lot of self published books that are an absolute piece of crap. So for me, I decided I didn't want to do the self publishing because it was too big of a risk. I don't know what I'm doing. I want to make sure I've got the quality. Now, going through the
Mhm.
traditional publisher, like if I anyway got the attention of any great publisher, the advance I would get would be so minimal because I don't really have a following. So I decided to go through the hybrid publisher route
Mhm.
because I wanted the quality of big publisher. But I wanted the quality of that. I also wanted to maintain my intellectual property. Um,
Sure.
the hybrid was right for me.
Yeah.
And because I had my business is thriving, like I also had the money to be able to invest in the hybrid. So I went
Mhm.
with Greenleaf Publishing. It's the one I ended up going with, which was the most expensive hybrid. But I had the funds to do that because I wanted quality. I wanted the best quality book. So I went that route. That's just my now the next book, we'll see.
Mhm.
The next book, if I have a bigger following, I have a mentor who read the book. I mean, he's super famous. So and he read it and he's like, this is amazing. Like, talk to my agent, go with my publisher. But I'd already signed with Greenleaf. So for the next one, I don't
Mhm.
know. Then we'll see.
Mhm. Well, you you mentioned your business too. So how does the book transition to the business, and how does that tie in what you do?
Yeah, yeah. Well, like all of us, we're always evolving and learning. So as I kind of grew my leadership development business used to be, I would deliver content of other people who have written books and created leadership development programs. So like I delivered Ken Blanchard's program or Patrick Lencioni's programs or Travis Bradberry's Emotional Intelligence 2.0. So what I was doing before in my business is I was taking other people's content and
Mm,
then delivering
okay.
it to them, right? So for me, this transition of writing the book is I wanted to have my content. I wanted to bring my research. So writing the book has allowed me to go from just like I'm a facilitator delivering other people's stuff. Now
Mhm.
it's allowed me to transition to be now I'm the thought leader. That I should be use these terms carefully. I'm an expert in the science of bravery. I aspire to be a thought leader. There's a difference there, right?
Yeah.
Experts, you know a ton about a subject. So you can say, I'm an expert. A thought leader means all experts look to you, right? So I I work with thought leaders all the time, that are like the leading experts in the science or the leading, they're the ones doing research and publishing like, research on it. So I'm an expert aspiring to be a thought leader someday. And that's a real
Mm,
shift there, for me to scale my business to be a
yeah.
workshop deliverer to becoming a thought leader. The book has really been the mechanism to give me that, that credibility to make that leap.
Mm. And then maybe you could delve a little bit into what the business does. What does your company do, and what kind of
Yes.
things you
Right. So Breakthrough Leadership Group is a company that helps corporations like usually like I do a lot of Fortune 500 companies, but I've some smaller companies as well. But I come in and I help companies with the people side of
Mhm. Okay.
driving results. So I now have a team. I have other facilitators that work for me. So we still do all the traditional programs that I've always done, that are the foundational leadership development skills. But then my firm also really specializes in helping organizations build courageous cultures, like bring bravery in. Like, why is it? Like,
Mm,
in business, a lot of people are afraid of speaking up and sharing their ideas. People are scared of maybe posting for the promotion because they don't feel ready yet. People are afraid to have difficult conversations, or leaders
yep.
are afraid to deliver feedback. So, I mean, there's so much fear that slows down progress and it slows down their ability to achieve goals and to accomplish the vision of the company. So I come in there and as I teach the science of bravery and we make it part
Mm,
of the culture, we start with leaders and go down. It's amazing how everything speeds up. It's like putting grease in all the gears and it helps people realize like, wow, I actually do have fears. I have a fear of asking for help. Like I get stuck on a project, but I don't want to sound
yeah.
stupid. So I just like figure it out on my own. And then we talk about like that's not very good for you and it's not good for the company. So there's so many elements. So I have people take a bravery assessment to figure out like what areas do they allow fears to control their behaviors that prevents them from performing at their best and having the biggest impact at work. And then we work on overcoming those fears so they can be more successful individually, but then collectively, the company is so much more successful when they can learn about applying the science of bravery.
So it reminds me of Jack Welch, a big fan of because he always says radical honesty. And so everything that happens in a company, you should be able to feel free to say and express your opinion. But you're right, fear just paralyzes people. They don't feel as though they can say what they think. And so what happens is you gum up the works, everything slows down.
Everything
And this
slows down.
could really be for any level too. So you start with leaders, but it really does permeate the entire culture of a company.
Yeah, totally. And if I can build on the Jack Welch comment too, like we do want to have candor. We want to have that radical honesty. At the same time, we need to teach employees, leaders, all levels of the organizations of how to express your opinion in a way that's going to be constructive, that will create a
Mhm.
culture of constructive candor, of psychological safety. Because sometimes people can hear Jack Welch and go, like, you know what, Mick, I think you're a jerk. And I think
Mhm.
every idea that you say is horrible. And I'm just being honest. That does not help a culture of courage, right? That
Mhm.
actually creates
Sure.
people to have now fear of, if I speak up, I might be shot down or I might fear of embarrassment. So this is where I bring the psychology in. We talk about how do you create psychological safety, which is, people should feel safe to speak up, but safety is not enough because there's so many people that are just still so scared to speak up. So I teach really practical skills, like how,
Yeah.
if you have an opinion, for the real shy people, I give them the confidence to speak up so they can do it. But then there's other people that just, and this is kind of me, the way I am, because I'm a little type A, the Marine comes out. I just say it a little
Too
too
strong. Yeah.
harshly,
Hmm.
and then it causes the culture of candor to go down. So what I teach is everyone, like, we need to have a norm in our team, in our organization, that we all need to speak what's on our mind to best serve our team, our company, and our clients, right? But we need to do it in a certain way that
Hmm.
is going to be constructive and helpful. So when I teach that practical skill, it helps everyone, and when everyone kind of does it the right way, it becomes like a norm,
Yeah.
and then it becomes just what everyone does. So it really
And
helps.
I appreciate your time so much. I got a wealth of knowledge here. So we've talked about the book, your writing style, the publication, and how you did it, and your company, of course. Could you tell people, like, where do they get the book? How do they get a hold of you? They know what you can do and what you can say,
Yeah.
and hopefully they reach out to you.
Oh, yeah, and I would love to hear from anyone, because I what gets me fired up each day is helping individuals and getting those emails or those messages coming back. Because when I can help individuals break through fear, like, that's why I'm here. That's exactly what I am put on this earth to do. So people can find me. You can go to my website. It's jillschulman.com. Jill, obviously, but Schulman is Schulma. And if you go to my website, you can take that free bravery assessment and
Nice.
immediately down a free bravery blueprint. So I just believe I want to give this away to people. Like, of course, I would love you to read the book as well. So at least go on my website and then get this for free. You can start applying it right away. And it gives you tips in the cognitive, behavioral, and social psychology. So you have that document you can download right away. Of course, my book. Please consider buying my book. It is available anywhere books are sold, in Barnes and Noble, Amazon, etc. It's Audible. It's all different
Okay.
formats. So please read the book. And then what I ask people to do if they read the book is, um, it's going to make an impact on you. I know it will. But then please pass along, give that copy of the book to somebody else so that they can have the
Okay.
same impact. Someone who needs to hear the message, because fear is holding them back.
Yeah.
So many of us allow fear to hold us back. So those are the couple places. I'm on all platforms. LinkedIn is my primary, because I mainly work with corporations, but I've had to be brave and get out of my comfort zone of just LinkedIn. And now I'm on Instagram and Facebook and all those other ones. So if you just Google me, Jill Schulman Bravery, you're going to find me, follow me, um, and connect with me, and send me a message if any of this helps.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Jill. I know you're a busy person, but thank you for taking some time out and sharing all the great things that you have. I appreciate you so much of being a guest today. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. Have a great day too.
Thank you much. If you've learned something, and I hope you did, because I did as well, you want to make sure that you're reaching out to Jill, because we got a lot of great people that are coming on the show. And if you got a couple things to look at too, you can just pick up a couple volumes that I have, Burning America and also On Track, Ian Hunter. So I appreciate the publishers who are supporters of the program. And if you want to reach out to me, LinkedIn is a great place. Also, G. McSmith, a doctor of digital. And also, thank you for being a guest today. I know you have choices. You chose to be with us today and listen. Until next time, this is Dr. Digital signing off. Deus Volt.